ThorSport Racing is probably the most iconic team in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Being founded in 1996, the second year of the Truck Series' existence, they immediately became a staple. But it took them quite a long time before they started getting wins on a regular basis and being front runners week in and week out. But I'm going to tell you about one particular area of their story that no one seems to notice. This is the curse of the ThorSport 13 truck. At the conclusion of the 2003 season, SealMaster Racing was looking to try to expand their operation. They didn't have too much success, as their first driver, Terry Cook, who drove from them from 1996 to 2000, his only notable moment was the team's first win at Flemington back in 1998. But dipping performance saw him only score 17 top 10s across all those seasons, and eventually ahead of the season finale, they replaced him with Matt Crafton. Crafton would drive for them till the end of 2003, but with strong consistency, he scored many top 10s but didn't record a single top 5. Therefore, he would leave the team following the season finale at Homestead in favor of going to Kevin Harvick's number 6 truck. The newly renamed ThorSport Racing felt a hard blow at Crafton's departure, as he was coming off his best points finish, being 11th. Needing a new face for the team would hire rookie Tracy Hines to drive their 88 truck for the 2004 season. But not only that, they decided that they were going to open up a second truck for the first time, and this is the truck we're going to be focusing on today for most of this video, the 13 truck. This wasn't going to be the first time ThorSport fielded a second truck. They had fielded another truck on few occasions before 2004, but this is going to be the first time they were going full-time with the second truck. Tina Gordon would be hired to drive the 13 truck full-time, and her only notable moment came at Atlanta in the second race of the season, where she suffered minor injuries in this big wreck with Hank Parker Jr. and Rick Crawford. Unfortunately for Gordon, she had a best finish of 24th, and after just 5 races, the team would boot her off. And the 13 truck was driven by a rotation of drivers for the remainder of the season. Luckily, they actually made all but one race for the remainder of the season. The only race they missed was Richmond, and drivers such as Jimmy Spencer, Andy Houston, and Lance Hooper took over majority of the remaining schedule. ThorSport's 2004 season was a mess. Tracy Hines had a respectable rookie campaign with a top 5 and 2 top 10s and finished 18th in points, but wasn't really a front runner for almost basically the entire season. Unfortunately, their second truck, the 13 truck, only had a best finish of 14th and failed to finish 7 races, and their best finish of 14th came at Gateway with driver Paul White. Luckily, they only had 1 DNQ, as I mentioned before, but with 7 DNFs on the season, 3 of them coming from Tina Gordon in the first 5 races, this was pretty bad. You may be thinking to yourself, Epic, what do you mean by curse of the 13 truck? Well, you know basically how there's like the cover curse on video games, where if an athlete gets on the cover of their sports game, there's 2 options. One is that they'll have a really good season the following year, but more likely than not, it's usually the opposite, where they have a horrible season, they get injured or something like that. So I'm basically going to show you how this applies to this truck, because this 13 truck has been around for over 20 years as of this upload in 2025. So after 2004, Tina Gordon received the curse immediately after getting slapped in that truck. But you could also be saying ThorSport isn't even a front-running team at this point. They're just having a second truck that's not doing anything. But don't worry, it gets better, I think. After 2004, Matt Crafton was coming off his best career season, where he finished 5th in the points and set career highs in top 5s and top 10s. But since he went winless, Kevin Harvick kicked him to the curb. But ThorSport welcomed him back with open arms, back to his 88 truck that he drove before. Wait, wasn't Tracy Hines in the 88? What'd they do with him? Oh, well, I mean, he did decent in the 88. Let's see if he can keep up with Crafton.
Behind him, looks as though it was going to get through, but then we had another spinner coming through. That's the 12 of Joey Miller, also involved in this. He gets spun around trying to avoid the spinning number 13 of Tracy Hines.
Yeah, he got some contact with another truck too, Joey Miller did. So there's another truck still making its way around the racetrack that will have some damage.
I saw the tire come off the left rear of Tracy.
Let's watch for Tracy Hines, the number 13 Chevrolet. Looks like he might have got a 10.
Oh my goodness, here we go. Tracy Hines, 8 DNFs in 2005 in that 13 truck, and he only scored one singular top 10, which came at Richmond, where he scored a 5th place finish following a bunch of late restarts. His finish was so baffling that even the commentators couldn't believe it.
Single file.
Look here, the 13 truck of Tracy Hines is in the top 5. We haven't even talked about him all evening, and here he is running 5th. A terrific run for Tracy Hines.
Tracy Hines' best career finish, a 5th at Mansfield back in 2004.
That's a great run.
Pace truck off the come out of turn number 4 and win race number 2 on the 2005 season.
Tracy Hines emerges with a top 5 finish and ties his career best. Mike Wallace with a great run in that 12 truck finishes 6th.
Following his 8th DNF after crashing out at Texas, the team would kick Hines to the curb with 2 races remaining in favor of Chad Chaffin and Johnny Sauter, who finished 35th and 20th respectively. Tracy Hines would fall to 25th in the final standings after missing the final 2 races, but the disparity in the 2 trucks at ThorSport was insane. You had Hines finishing 25th in points, and then you had Matt Crafton, who took the 88 truck to 2 top 5s, 10 top 10s, his first career pole, and a 9th place points finish with an average finish of 13.5. In 2006, Matt Crafton would have a pretty bad season. Although he doubled his top 5 total to 4 and got 10 top 10s again, he finished 14th in points with an average finish of 13.8 and only led 2 laps on the season. However, Tracy Hines would take his efforts to the NASCAR Busch Series, leaving the 13 truck wide open for who else but the most random driver in the history of NASCAR, basically, Kerry Earnhardt. Oh, and that's a curse counter up there. Kerry Earnhardt would become the 3rd driver to have his career absolutely destroyed by driving the 13 truck for ThorSport, the 3rd driver following Tina Gordon and Tracy Hines. Kerry Earnhardt would only manage to have a best finish of 11th at Nashville and Las Vegas and finished 22nd in points with an average finish of 25th. The only thing that Kerry Earnhardt did that was better than Matt Crafton was lead more laps than him. Crafton led 2 and Kerry Earnhardt led 5. Toward the end of 2006, it was clear that the team wanted to dump Kerry Earnhardt. So, in the final race of the season, the team fielded a 3rd truck, numbered 87, for Willie Allen. Who? Yeah, some random guy that's made 2 prior truck starts, but he had a 6th place finish in his debut at Martinsville. I guess that's what they looked at because they signed him to drive the 13 truck full-time for the 2007 season. The 2007 season for ThorSport Racing would be an interesting one. Matt Crafton jumped back up inside the top 10 in points with 10 total top 10s and finished 8th in the standings, but he only had 1 top 5 on the year that came early on in the season at Atlanta. Willie Allen would actually have the best season for the history of the 13 truck's tenure, scoring a grand total of 1 top 10, coming at Talladega where he finished in 6th. That was the first time the 13 truck had been in the top 10 since Tracy Hines' random 5th place run at Richmond 2 years before. The only reason why some of us even remotely remember Willie Allen is because he finished 15th in points that year, enough to win him Rookie of the Year in a close decision over Tim Sauter. Allen would lead 29 laps on the season with an average finish of 21st, and then subsequently never made more than 3 starts in any season of the Truck Series ever again. The only time he even made more than 3 starts in any series would come in 2010, where he made 18 starts in the then Nationwide Series. But he never raced full-time again. Heading into the 2008 season, ThorSport was at a crossroads. They still only had 1 win in their tenure as a team, coming back in 1998 with Terry Cook at Flemington. Matt Crafton had not scored a single win through his first 7 seasons as a full-time Truck Series driver, and their 2nd truck wasn't really doing anything. So, ThorSport decided to look for somebody that had some sort of resume, and they found another driver for their 5th driver in the 13 truck for the past 5 seasons, Shelby Howard, to drive the 13 truck full-time in 2008. 2008 was a win or bust year for ThorSport Racing, but luckily they got into their groove early on, as just in the 6th race of the season at Charlotte, their longtime hero and the flagship driver of the team, Matt Crafton, would finally go through all the struggle to get his first career win over Chad McCumbee. And that meant that now Shelby Howard had to do something to try to prove that he belonged with this team, and he actually made a pretty good effort to. The following race at Mansfield would probably be the best race of Shelby Howard's career. Having a lot of experience there from racing in the Hooters Pro Cup Series and other series, he ran up front early on in the race, starting in 9th and leading 21 laps and looking as if he could have a potential race-winning day. But toward the end of the race, this is Mansfield, where pit stops really did not exist. He ended up falling back, and the best he got, unfortunately, was a front row seat to one of the most thrilling finishes in the history of NASCAR.
Todd Bodine trying to stay on the back bumper of that number 71 of Donnie Leah. 2 laps of racing remaining. Donnie Leah's closing the gap now on the 11 of David Starr. It's going to come down to the final lap when they come out of turn number 4. David Starr is going to see the white flag. One more lap around Mansfield Motorsports Park.
Donnie Leah's right there.
Here he goes. He makes contact. David Starr keeps it straight. They're side by side. Three wide down the backstretch. Donnie Leah out in front. Todd Bodine down on the bottom. As they come out of 4, Donnie Leah has the edge. Donnie Leah will win at Mansfield.
What a terrific finish, and what a job by Donnie Leah. He was aggressive this race, and it got him a win.
Unfortunately, Mansfield was Shelby Howard's only day in the sun, as he would only go on to get one more top 10, a 5th place finish at IRP, but he would finish 17th in points with an average finish of 19.5 with 22 laps led, 21 of them coming at Mansfield. After finishing 17th in points and his teammate Matt Crafton finally getting his first win and finishing 5th in points, ThorSport dumped him just like how they dumped everybody else, and Howard was left driving back marker cars in the Nationwide Series for the remaining few years of his career. Meaning, guess what? That curse counter's going higher. It's 2009, and once again, ThorSport's looking for a driver for their second truck, and they decide to go all in this time. Driver that has done a full Cup Series season and multiple Busch Series seasons with 3 Busch wins to his credit is eligible for Truck Series Rookie of the Year. Johnny Sauter, with 3 Busch Series wins to his credit. He hadn't run in the Truck Series ever before, not ever before, but in a few starts. So they hired him to drive the 13 truck, and right away, he finally was able to bring that 13 car to glory. The team as a whole was strong as heck, bro. They were strong as heck. Although Crafton did not score a win, he was up there in the conversation in the top 5 in points while Ron Hornaday ran away. But late in the year, Johnny Sauter finally was able to get things going with 5 straight top 5 finishes. But the 5th one of that row was the sweetest, getting the 13 truck its first ever win and first finish higher than 5th coming at Las Vegas.
Remains between he and his first win in the Camping World Truck Series.
He's got over a 2-second lead over his teammate right now. He just has to make sure he has enough fuel to get to the end.
Down the Nellis straightaway he goes. Half a lap between Johnny Sauter and that first win. A flawless 3 and 4. He comes out to the grandstands. The fans on their feet. Johnny Sauter will win at Las Vegas.
What a great job by Johnny Sauter, that ThorSport team. 1-2 finish for ThorSports. And Jason White.
ThorSport's 3rd ever Truck Series win at Las Vegas in 2009 also marked their first 1-2 finish as Crafton finished behind Johnny Sauter. And this looked like this was going to be the connection. And that's exactly what happened. Johnny Sauter finally was going to be the first driver to break the curse of the 13 truck, as he would go on to have a great season. Not only scoring his first Truck Series win, he would go on to finish 6th in the standings and be a strong contender to win races year in and year out.
And now Johnny Sauter heads to victory lane.
It's 2012, and Johnny Sauter and Matt Crafton had established themselves as perennial championship favorites, although they didn't win too many races. Johnny Sauter was coming off a second-place points finish after winning 2 races in 2011, but in 2012, he had a horrible beginning to the season, only managing 1 finish above 24th in the first 6 races before winning at Texas. But inconsistency shrouded his season, as he was only able to get 1 more win coming at Texas late in the year, as he wound up finishing 9th in points. But after the season, they had a 98 truck that they tried to run full-time in 2012 with Dakota Armstrong, but that didn't pan out. And after 2012, Sauter would move to the 98 truck, leaving the 13 truck wide open for its next driver.
Number 4, checkered flag in the air. Sauter wins at Texas.
I want to show you basically how Johnny Sauter broke the curse of the 13 truck. If you look throughout the first 5 seasons of the 13 truck's existence, you will find that the 13 truck only managed to finish in the top 10 4 times. And 2 of them were 5th place finishes for top 5s. It never finished higher than 5th, and the 2 other top 10s were 6th place finishes, one of them being on a super speedway. The truck never finished higher than 15th in points with Willie Allen. And then if you look at Johnny Sauter's tenure, well, he got 6 wins, and he actually probably tripled or quadrupled the top 10 total in year 1. So it's safe to say that Johnny Sauter broke that curse. But in 2013, after the failed Dakota Armstrong experiment, Sauter moved to the 98 truck, leaving the 13 truck wide open. ThorSport would hire two-time Truck Series champion Todd Bodine, who was nearing age 50 and was struggling to find rides and sponsorship to drive the 13 truck. However, he would only last the first 7 races, DNFing twice and finishing in the top 20 in the other events, but he ran out of sponsorship and the team had to reduce its schedule to a part-time operation. The team would make the next 3 races with Brett Moffitt, Frank Kimmel, and former driver of the 13 Tracy Hines at Eldora before deciding to only make 1 more race coming at Homestead with Frank Kimmel once again. Todd Bodine did not do much. In those 8 races, he led 25 laps and had an average finish of 17.5, and once again never showed up at another NASCAR race in the Truck Series for almost 10 seasons. He made a couple one-offs for the next few years, but he wouldn't make another Truck Series start until 2022, when in his farewell tour to try to get to 800 NASCAR starts, he made 6 events. Well, you may be thinking, oh, maybe ThorSport just had a bad season. You see this wreck Todd Bodine wrecked at Kansas? That was Matt Crafton's 3rd career win after previously winning at Iowa in 2011. And what happened? Well, Crafton had one of the greatest seasons of all time, finishing in the top 20 in every single race except the last one where he finished 21st and went on to win the championship. Johnny Sauter in the 98 truck went on to score 3 wins and finish 4th in the standings with one of the most iconic wins in series history.
And they're 2x2, 3 wide as they come through the tri-oval. One more time around in Talladega. Who has the advantage? Down on the bottom of the racetrack, Ross Chastain. Just behind him, last year's winner Parker Kligerman. Right in the middle, ThorSport drivers, nose to tail.
There's a steam coming out of that 88, Rick.
The 3rd and 4th. And then on the high side, it's Dakota Armstrong with Kyle Busch. Still side by side, 3 wide as they go down the backstretch.
This is amazing.
Pushing as hard as you can and driving as hard as you can, looking for the checker flag with an engine that's about to blow up.
Ross Chastain has the advantage down on the bottom. He's still in front. Here comes that 98 and the 88 tandem in the middle of the track. Johnny Sauter, he won at Daytona earlier this year. Can he do it again? They wreck behind him. They're rolling behind him. Now the 88 spins. ThorSport is going to win. It's going to be Johnny Sauter that will get the win, but they wreck behind him.
Matt Crafton has not got to the start-finish line yet.
And they're still wrecking. Crafton does slide by the start-finish line. The 32 of Miguel Paludo was upside down. It's on fire now.
So yeah, safe to say that Todd Bodine here was cursed in this truck. Up next was Jeb Burton, who was coming off a 2013 season that saw him get a win at Texas, finish 5th in points, and lead 289 laps. In 2014, he regressed heavily, getting cursed in this truck, leading 7 laps down from 289, 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s, 8th in points with an average finish of 13.2. Outside of nearly winning at Texas for the second year in a row, Burton was definitely holding up the caboose at ThorSport, as Crafton went on to win a second straight championship with multiple wins, and Johnny Sauter still was winning races and finishing 4th in the standings for the second consecutive season. Jeb Burton definitely was cursed in this truck, as he was stuck driving for BK Racing in the Cup Series the following year and never really stabilized his career until the next decade in 2021 when he got a ride with Colleague Racing. Now here's where it gets interesting. 2015, the team dumps Jeb Burton in favor of Canadian driver rookie Cameron Hayley. This is interesting because this is a driver that has a pretty good resume. In 2012 and 2013 combined, he got a win and a grand total of 22 top 10s and finished 7th and 2nd in the ARCA West Series points. So he was a good challenger for a championship there at under 18 years old. He would move to the ARCA East Series in 2014, where even though he went winless, he finished 2nd in points again. In 2013, in the ARCA West season, he had an average finish of 4.5 and lost the championship. And he finished in the top 10 in literally every single race. In the East season, he had an average finish of 8.4 and, again, finishing 2nd. He was trying to do like a Dylan Kwasniewski type thing. And seeing these numbers, even though he didn't have wins, he only had a 1 to his name and an exhibition race at the inaugural Battle at the Beach. The team signed Cameron Hayley to drive the 13 truck. And this is where it gets interesting because Cameron Hayley wasn't actually bad in 2015. In fact, he was actually pretty decent. Cameron Hayley was still holding up the caboose at ThorSport, but not even by much. Hayley got 4 top 5s and 13 top 10s, led 78 laps, and finished 6th in points with an average finish of 11th. That's pretty good. Johnny Sauter went winless as well, but he finished 4th in points for the 3rd straight season. And Matt Crafton got 6 wins, but he only managed to finish 3rd in points. Now, this is actually pretty good. Hayley is keeping up with these guys, and he's actually going to become the first driver other than Johnny Sauter to drive the 13 truck for more than 1 season. Oh, yes, I forgot. This is the year the playoffs decided to come into existence, and that's what messed with Cameron Hayley. Hayley didn't even have that bad of a season. 6 top 5s, 11 top 10s. He only led 21 laps, but he completed more laps, and he had an average finish of 12.5. But what happened? Well, if you look at the playoff cutoff race, the problem was he just wasn't consistent enough to be higher than Daniel Hemrick and Timothy Peters in the point standings. Yeah, this is the era when there were only 8 spots in the Truck Series playoffs, and by this point, 6 of them had already been filled by drivers with wins. Byron, John Hunter Nemechek, Crafton, Bell, Sauter, who, by the way, is now at GMS. The driver of the 98 truck is now Rico Abreu, the rookie. Ben Kennedy got a win at Bristol, and then Timothy Peters and Daniel Hemrick made it on consistency, and Hayley was the first one out. And eventually, Hayley wound up finishing 11th in the final standings. Unfortunately, at just the age of 19, he was kicked to the curb after just 2 full seasons due to lack of sponsorship. Why is it always lack of sponsorship? One thing to point out, though, is that only 1 truck from the ThorSport stable actually made the playoffs in 2016. That was Matt Crafton, who got 2 wins and finished 2nd in points to Johnny Sauter. But no, he not in the 98. He left to GMS that year and went on to win the championship with 3 wins. Even though Hayley finished 11th, he had 2 rookie teammates that finished 13th and 14th behind him. Rico Abreu finished 13th in points after just 1 season, with really only his potential win that he lost at Texas to be the only thing that anyone remembers, and Ben Rhodes, who was a rookie in the new 41 truck that they opened, where he had an abysmal season. Abreu was gone due to lack of sponsorship after 1 season, while Rhodes managed to stick around. So unfortunately for Cameron Hayley, even though he wasn't even that bad in his tenure in the 13 truck, he hasn't made a single start in NASCAR following the 2016 season, so you know what that means. He unfortunately was cursed from driving this truck.
It's the final stage, and it's green and Michigan.
Good start by Hayley, but not so much for Enfinger that was behind Hayley.
Around goes Cody Coughlin in the 13. a big hit for Coughlin on that restart.
Oh my goodness, it's Cody Coughlin. Where do we begin here? There's basically nothing to talk about. I don't know what ThorSport was thinking when they hired Cody Coughlin, but he got one top 5, 3 top 10s, and finished 13th in the standings, behind fellow rookie teammate Grant Infinger, who replaced Rico Abreu in the 98 truck, and Infinger had so many more top 5s. Ben Rhodes got his first win at Las Vegas, driving the renumbered 27 truck, and Matt Crafton got a win at Eldora and finished 4th in points. Not much to say, but because it's Cody Coughlin, he was out after the very next season. Eager to put the Coughlin disaster behind them, ThorSport Racing would go a different direction in 2018 and sign rookie Myatt Snider to drive the 13 truck full-time. He had made a couple of part-time starts in the truck series over the last 2 seasons where he showed some definite promise and had an ARCA win in 2016 in his debut race at Toledo. The only other thing they changed that season was renumbering the 27 truck to the 41 once again for Ben Rhodes. So Ben Rhodes was 41, 27, and now he's 41 again. Snider had a good season. He had a couple of top 10s and top 20 runs, but just before the playoffs, a crash at Bristol eliminated him from the playoffs, where he finished 9th in points with a decent season. 3 top 5s, 8 top 10s, 55 laps led, and he finished 9th in the standings with an average finish of 14.1, winning Rookie of the Year. Remember, that's not a lot of top 10s. 8 top 10s doesn't sound like a lot to you, but this is the era in like the truck series and like this like era like 2014 to like around 2019 where you don't really have to have many top 10s and you could still make it high, because remember, there's still a lot of like I guess the bushwhacker version in the truck series, and a lot of teams that weren't crazy highly funded. Like Brett Moffitt was winning championships with like 7 wins, and a bunch of people had a lot of wins. So a lot of people could make it into the playoffs. But again, only 8 spots at the time, and Snider was just shy of making it in, finishing 9th. And he was close with his teammates. Grant Infinger got his first win with the team and finished 5th in points. Crafton missed the championship 4 and finished 6th in points, winless. And Ben Rhodes got a win at Kentucky and finished 8th in points. And Snider was right behind them in 9th, even though he didn't make the playoffs. Oh, wow. Is this the first time someone that isn't Johnny Sauter isn't going to have the curse? Unfortunately, we're going to have to look at that one. Let's see what has happened after his tenure in the 13 truck. Looks like in 2019, he goes to the Whelen Euro Series full-time because he can't find a full-time ride in the NASCAR Top 3 Series. That's a pretty bad sign. He goes to the Xfinity Series in 2020, and oh goodness, he has a lot of DNFs. And looking at that, outside of that Homestead win he got in 2021, he hasn't really done anything in NASCAR, struggling to get rides, and again, sponsorship woes, as he hasn't made more than 5 starts in any season since 2022. So yeah, unfortunately, even though he had a good season, if you look in the big picture, he got cursed from driving this truck. The 2019 season would be an interesting turning point for ThorSport Racing, as after scoring 13 wins across 3 seasons and a championship, Johnny Sauter would be approached as a potential replacement for Myatt Snider in the 13 truck, and he ended up signing with the team. 2019 would go on to be one of the most interesting seasons for a team, as they only scored 1 win the entire season at Dover, where Johnny Sauter took the 13 truck back to victory lane for the first time since 2012 at Texas for his 24th win and his 3rd consecutive Dover win. They had 4 trucks that season, with Ben Rhodes getting another number change to 99 this time. This would be the last one. And across the entire season, ThorSport Racing's drivers were super consistent. Sauter got the team their only win of the season, actually was parked for a race after wrecking someone at Iowa, and he was replaced by Myatt Snider for the following race at Gateway. And Sauter and his teammate Grant Enfinger looked to be the favorites for the championship, as even though Enfinger went winless, he won the regular season championship, and all three of them made the playoffs. Sauter, Enfinger, and Crafton. Ben Rhodes was in the thick of it until a slip-up in the final two races got him booted out of the playoffs. And this is where the tides start to change. After having two good finishes in the first two races of the first round of the playoffs, Johnny Sauter needed to just have a good race at Las Vegas, which is a track that he won back in 2009 for ThorSport's first win in the 13 truck. But unfortunately, one of the weirdest events, a bunch of playoff drivers had engine problems in that particular race, which included Sauter and Enfinger, which made them getting booted from the playoffs. The only ThorSport truck that made it to the next round would be Matt Crafton, who would make history as the first ever driver to win a championship in this goofy format with 0 wins, as he was able to get his third championship with no wins on the season. While Grant Enfinger would finish 7th in points, Sauter would finish 6th in his return season to ThorSport, and Ben Rhodes would finish 9th. But unfortunately, this would go on to just be a tipping point for Johnny Sauter and his return in the 13. In 2020, as his teammates continued to run strong, with Matt Crafton getting his 15th and final win coming at Kansas, Sauter had a good beginning to the season, scoring multiple top 5s and 10s before having a bunch of crashes and eventually missing the playoffs with a bunch of horrible finishes and finishing a career worst 13th in the standings. And in 2021, nothing seemed to improve, as he wasn't really close to making the playoffs. He had a lot of mid-pack runs and finished 12th in points, missing the playoffs, while teammate Ben Rhodes went on to win his first championship. And after 2021, the 13 truck was reduced to a part-time role, as they started up a new 5th truck that year, numbered 66, and decided to make that truck full-time in 2022 and reducing the 13 truck schedule to a part-time effort. In 2022, Sauter remained at the team, driving for 4 races in the 13 truck, where he actually did pretty decent, scoring 2 top 5s in that tenure. But it was already clear after seeing how bad Sauter had performed in those previous 2 seasons, and the driver of the 66 truck that was made full-time, Ty Majeski, got 2 wins and made the championship 4. But they wanted to keep their numbers kind of consistent, so after that season, they slid Majeski over to the 98 truck, replacing Christian Eckes, and made the 13 truck full-time and put the 66 back to a part-time entry. But they didn't retain Sauter for the 2023 season. Instead, they looked to a driver that has a lot of sponsorship and that had been driving in pretty decent equipment for the last 2 seasons, Hailie Deegan. There's not much for me to say here. She got 2 top 10s and finished a pretty dismal 19th in the standings, with a best finish of 6th at Texas, and failed to finish 4 races. And that was pretty bad. I mean, she's running in top-tier equipment. And of course, we all know what happened. That was definitely a curse, as she left NASCAR eventually. And Johnny Sauter's tenure, we can also say that the second tenure was a curse too, because he hasn't run full-time since 2021 and has barely even gotten any rides since then. So that curse counter is going up too. At the conclusion of 2023, Ben Rhodes was able to snag his second championship in 3 seasons, and the year after, Ty Majeski would go on to win his own championship in the 98 truck. But in 2024, a new driver would come to drive the 13 truck. Jake Garcia, who had finished 13th in points after driving in all but one of the 23 races in 2023 for Bill McAnally, decided that he was going to drive the 13 full-time, and he had a struggling season, struggling with mid-pack runs and only scoring 2 top 10s, saw him finish 17th in points, and it looked like it was going to be another curse. But as we saw this year in 2025, Jake Garcia improved mightily, getting his first career pole at Rockingham, leading multiple laps, and having many top 10 runs, and putting the 13 truck in the playoffs for the first time since the 2019 season. And although he unfortunately got eliminated in the round of 10, I'm recording this upload 4 races before the end of the season, so I don't know where he's going to finish in points, but he got eliminated in the round of 10. he's steadily improved, and it is unknown whether he's coming back for a third season in the 13 truck. But so far, with that improvement, it doesn't look like he's receiving the curse at the moment. So that curse is going to have to stay at 12. ThorSport has always been a struggling team, mainly just relying on flagship drivers. I mean, they're not struggling. They just rely on flagship drivers to lead them through, such as Matt Crafton, Ben Rhodes, and now really Ty Majeski, because Ben Rhodes is struggling. And now that Matt Crafton's retiring and Majeski's going to the 88, he's going to be the flagship car. And it's up to Jake Garcia to keep up with him if he remains in the 13 truck. And it doesn't look like he's receiving the curse right now. But if we look over the final analysis, the beginning of the 13 truck was rough, only scoring 4 total top 10s from 2004 to 2008, with a different driver every single season. Then the 13 truck became stable with Johnny Sauter in his tenure from 2009 to 2012, being a championship threat in almost every season. Well, in 2012 he had a horrible year because of inconsistency and bad luck, but he got wins every season. Then that's when they started to struggle again. The sponsorship woes with Todd Bodine forced the 2013 season short. Jeb Burton had a bad year and then was cursed by driving the BK Racing car and Cup. Then Cameron Hayley actually did good for the team, but unfortunately sponsorship forced him out of the ride after 2 seasons. And then you had Cody Coughlin. Then you had Myatt Snider, who did well and just missed the playoffs, but then he couldn't have sponsorship. Then Johnny Sauter came back and it looked like everything was going back to normal. And then after just 1 season, his following 2 full seasons with the team, he didn't make the playoffs. He was involved in crashes and then got reduced to a part-time role. Then Hailie Deegan came around and crashed a couple of trucks. And now Jake Garcia. What a great improvement. So as of this upload, that curse counter looks like it's going to remain at 12. One more thing to take note of is that the 7 times the 13 truck has visited Victory Lane have all been with Johnny Sauter driving the truck. It technically could be 11 because you can't say I can curse Johnny Sauter in his second tenure because he wasn't really cursed after his first tenure. What did he do after that? Well, he moved to the 98 truck from 2013 to 15, scoring a couple wins, won the 2016 championship with GMS and a bunch of other races in 3 years there. So you could say it was age, but I'm going to attribute it as a curse when he returned to the 13 truck because he hasn't really done anything since 2021. Very few starts, and as of this upload, he's only made 1 start in 2025. So that curse counter is remaining at 12. So yeah, this was an interesting video topic in NASCAR that I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys liked that video. It was a little bit interesting. It took me way longer, and I did not think the video would be this long. But hey, I made it to the end, and if you're at the end, I'm happy that you are still listening to this. I'm happy you're here to listen to this interesting video topic, and I hope you like this video and subscribe because just keeping that up makes me feel confident to do more of these videos. I always like these ideas, so I hope you guys like these videos. Please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.